Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Another golden story of accepted prayers. Never harm anyone. I once came across a person in a marketplace with only one arm who said that if people heard his story, they would never harm anyone ever again. When I asked him what had happened, he told me the following story. I was a government employee, a police official to be precise. One day I saw a fisherman carrying a big fish. I approached him and said, "Give this fish to me." He said he had no objection to giving me the fish, but I had to pay the price he wanted. I have nothing to eat at home and my children are waiting for me to bring them something to eat. I put a lot of effort into catching this fish, he said. My immediate reaction was start beating him. I then snatched the fish from his hands. But as I headed home, the fish suddenly jerked and bit my thumb. I felt a severe pain, which worsened when I got home. It was at night, and I thought I would go to the doctor the next day. I did not sleep the entire night because of the intense pain. Early the next morning, I went to a doctor and showed him the injured thumb. He said that the thumb had turned gangrenous, meaning serious bacterial infection, and I have to have it amputated, meaning to cut it off by a surgical operation for my own health. He warned that even a minor delay would cost me my whole hand. I immediately asked him to go ahead with the amputation. He then cut off my thumb. When I got back home, I still felt severe pain in my hand. I was in agony that entire night. The following morning, I again went to see the doctor who advised me to have the hand amputated, so my hand was cut off. I thought my ordeal was over, but the pain only worsened. I started screaming in pain and crying out for help. When the doctor examined me, he said the amputation of the entire arm was the only solution because the infection could spread to my entire body. The people in my locality soon heard what had happened. One religious person approached me asking, "What caused your injury?" When I told him the story of the fish, he said, "You should have gone to the fisherman the moment the fish bit you and begged his pardon. Only one part of your body has been amputated. You still have time. Search for the fisherman and somehow bring him round." I immediately started searching for the fisherman, but he had left our city. I eventually found him in another city. The moment I saw him, I fell at his feet and started weeping. "Forgive me for the sake of Allah. Forgive me for the sake of Allah." The fisherman asked me who I was. I told him I was the person who had stolen his fish and showed him that my hand had been amputated. When the fisherman saw this, he burst into tears. Then he said, "Oh, my brother, after seeing you in this distress, my heart goes out to you. Indeed, I forgive you for the sake of Allah." Then I said, "Dear brother, please tell me if you had put a curse on me when I beat you and took the fish from you." The fisherman said he had cursed me by saying, "O Allah, I'm weak, He is strong, who has taken away my sustenance forcefully and wrongfully. O my sustainer, plunge this man into trouble and distress and show me your power and providence." I said, "O my brother, Allah has shown you His power and providence. I seek forgiveness from Allah Almighty for my sins." So my brothers and sisters and little gems who are listening, it is definitely a very sad story that has happened. Something that seems so minor, just a fish, and the consequences were so high. The fisherman did say in a very polite manner that he had no objection in giving the fish, but obviously he wanted for it to be paid because of the hard work that was put into it. And we all know fishing is not an easy task. It can take hours. You start really early in the day. Even then, there's no guarantee that a person may catch a fish. So even after telling him politely, the person took it the wrong way and started beating him, which is absolutely uncalled for and really sad. And the fact that to harm someone like that, the words and the actions was totally unnecessary. So before we start showing our arrogancy and being rude, we don't know who we are hurting, who are the friends of Allah, who's crying to Allah. All something that seems minor, but look at the major consequences. So before we approach someone and before we hurt them, we always have to remember there is absolutely no need for it and it's really not worth it. So therefore, every time we do something, even in anger, just always remember this story, not to harm anyone, because the consequences are really severe. Even if not straight away, it could be down the line later on. So be careful. Do not harm anyone for something that is very, now reading the story, that something sounds very silly, but the person has to live with an amputated arm, and that's a reminder for him all his life. But luckily, alhamdulillah, he was able to find the fisherman and asked his forgiveness, and the fisherman forgave him. But not everybody is that lucky, because you may have harmed someone and can never find that person again. Only if we're truly lucky we can find that person and ask their forgiveness. And if you can, and if you have harmed someone, go and ask their forgiveness before it's too late. JazakAllah'khair for listening.